Okay, I'm going to de-winterize the pool equipment here. I'm going in backward order. I have a tarp on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the tarp off. Okay, now underneath this tarp is another tarp. So as we pull it back, we see one more tarp. So, and I've got little nails here to hook it on. So now I'm going to take off this tarp. Now, as I pull back the second tarp, you see some blankets over the equipment. Okay, I'm going to pull off the blankets next. And even more blankets. And even more blankets, revealing the pool equipment underneath. Okay, now you can see the two baskets that are open. Okay, pause. Okay, the next thing I have two caps here, complete with the rubber O-ring. And this one goes on here, and I just have to make sure that I tighten it, just hand tight, that's all it needs. Don't need a wrench or anything to tighten it. And then this one, and I can see that this one, the rubber ring it's not as tight, so I might have to replace the rubber O-ring on that. And then the chlorinator has a cap also. I'm going to put the cap on the chlorinator. Everything should go nicely like that. Everything is just hand tight. And then in this jar, I have all my caps. I'm going to pour them out into this little container. It's good to have a container to put everything in. And I'm going to screw these caps on. Now, let's see here. These three look like they're about the same size. And you're going to have to get right in here, have a look. Oops. Right here, you see this where I'm pointing my finger? Right here? Okay. I'm going to put one cap in here, screw it tight, and then the other pump housing gets another one. It has two O-rings here. This is strange. I'm going to take one off. This one had two. I'm going to put this on here. Each one should have one rubber O-ring. And this, if you see any signs of wear on the O-rings, you might want to replace them, but I've got one on each. So I'm going to put, you see this cap here, see where I'm holding where I'm pointing here? See this? Right here? Right here. That's where the next one goes. I'm going to get in there and tighten that. Be careful not to cross thread it, because then you'll strip it and then you'll have to replace the whole filter housing. Putting that on there, I don't need pliers to tighten it, just hand tight, that's all I need. Now, on the bottom part of the pump, this is the actual impeller, okay? The bottom of this, you see this hole here? Right here, there's another drain hole. I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to put one of the caps. Oops, that's not it. Sorry, that's a bolt. Here, it's right here. You see where my thumb is? You might have to get right in here. See where my thumb is? Right there. Okay, let's try to get into. Okay, right here. There's a hole. You put one of the caps in there, and I'm not even looking at it. You don't even have to look at it. And I'm just screwing this tight. Okay, hand tight, that's all. Now on the other pump, right here, there's another hole. I can feel it with my finger. See where my middle finger is? It's right on this hole. And I'm going to reach down here without even looking at it. I'm going to put the plug in here and tighten that down. And again, it's not going to be more than hand tight. Okay, now I'm going to go back into my bucket full of caps here. this one here, and it looks like a bolt. It has a square. It doesn't have a handle like the other ones. It doesn't have an O-ring either. That's going to go on this little pump right here, and it's going to be very hard to, here, right here is where the hole is. It's on the front. It has a smaller impeller. I'm going to put that one in right here. Okay, and I'm doing it hand tight, and when I turn the water on, I'll see if they leak, and if any of them leak, I'll tighten them a little bit, but I don't want to make them too tight. There we go, just with my fingers. Pause. Now we're going to change our focus to the air, sorry, not the air, the filter cartridge itself. You'll see there's a drain hole at the back here. I'm going to put a cap on it, and there's a cap on that. So this is the cap for the top. Okay. Goes right in here. And these are all plastic, so you have to be very careful because it can break easy. So it should screw in with no resistance at all. And it doesn't have to be that tight. You just tighten it by hand, that's all. Do not use a wrench, do not use pliers. This cap here goes to the bottom of the filter cartridge. So I'm gonna go right in here, and I'm wearing my shoes that are not my good shoes. Oh. Okay. Now, right here is where screwing that in. Goes in just like that with the greatest of ease. Okay, now the next piece here is this little glass housing for the water heater. It goes on right here, and it also has an O-ring. Make sure that that is intact. And I'm gonna thread that on here. Oops. You have to hold it straight. Okay. Again, it's only hand tight. And then on the bottom there is a ground wire. You see that ground wire? There's a screw on the bottom that it goes on. And then there's a wing nut that goes under that. I'm going to put that wing nut on to hold the, oh, see, whenever there's resistance, there's the danger of cross-threading it. So I'm just putting it on. Everything here is hand tight. Now when I took it off, I needed a little bit of a wrench to take that off. Now I've got two more caps. This yellow one is going to go on the heater over there. On the other side of the heater goes right here.
Okay.
And I'm doing this all without even looking. I can just feel where the holes are and where the threads are, and I have to be careful not to drop this because it'll go to the bottom of this housing, and it'll be very hard to get back without taking a bunch of panels off. Of course, this panel does come off with these 6 screws to make it easier, but I'm hoping I don't have to do this. But let's just, there we go. Nice, nice. Okay, that's tightened down. I have one more. That's a white one. Okay, so it's white. I'll bet it goes at the bottom of the chlorinator, but no, it doesn't. It goes at the bottom of the spider gear right there. See that? Right here?
Mm-hmm.
It's important to drain your spider gear because that's really expensive. And again, it's got the rubber O-ring. So I'm going to put that in. And again, just hand tight. No more than hand tight. Okay, there. I've replaced all of my caps. And now we're going to go into the panel and take it off of service mode. And we'll see if we have any leaks. And we might have any leaks. If we do, nothing to worry about. We'll just retighten those bolts. So we're gonna open this here, right here. I'm gonna go timeout. I'm gonna go to auto, and magically the pumps all start. Now there is a chance that this doesn't get enough water, in which case we have to prime it. Okay, so we're gonna watch that for a few minutes, and if we have to, we're gonna prime it. So let's pause for a second.
Go.
Okay, it didn't catch its prime, so I'm gonna turn this on again. And it's gonna start pumping. I'm gonna turn on my hose. And by the way, notice this around the filter here. Do you notice how the ground is all kind of brown? That's called DE, short for diatomaceous earth. And I drained the filter, a lot of DE came out, so I'm gonna have to put some back in. Now I'm gonna turn on my hose here. And I'm gonna take this cap off and prime this pump. Okay. Now if you have a bucket of water, that's fine too. Just fill some water in here. And then as soon as the pump primes, you'll hear it. Just going to take a minute. I had it drained pretty well. And I might have to prime this other one here too. Whenever you hear that air sound, it means it isn't primed yet. It's trying. It's trying. I don't want to go too long. I think what I might do is grab a bucket. Let's just see if it goes here. Turning this doesn't mean it doesn't do a thing. It might be starting. That other pump, by the way, I think this is for the waterfall. It's the water feature, because it's not pumping right now. So I'm going to turn this off here. I'm going to grab a bucket. Pause. Okay, I've decided to go with a bucket instead, because it pours more water down. I'm just going to keep pouring in here until this pump gets primed and starts running on its own. Now it might be, let's just see. We're going to kind of test it here. I'm going to put the cap back on, because it's still sucking air through here. So let's see if it catches its prime. I'll pull up the bucket again just in case. I see that it's really trying hard to get primed. You're going to see a lot of activity under there once it starts. There we go. Okay, there. We know it has its prime. That's good. Okay. So that's what you want to see. Now we're going to have to turn on the water feature. So the cleaner pump is pumping now. That's good. We're going to want to prime this pump. And then we just turn on the water feature. I'm not going to be able to do it, but anyway,